beautiful province it is. From PE, Jeffreys Bay, we think, of course, of the former Transkei, Coffee Bay, the hole in the wall. It is such a beautiful province.
Very beautiful province, Sally, and in fact we just came from a game drive at the Mountain Zebra National Park. Now, as much as I've done a game drive before, the scary part was actually getting out of that car and walking into the mountains while we tried to locate a cheetah called Mike. Unfortunately, we didn't find Mike after some 2 hours, but what was scary is just seeing the natural animals and their habitat, those mountain zebras, the springbok, and just some eland themselves. But luckily we didn't see the lions, but we are told there are a number of lions also there while we were walking about. But just to get more information in terms of how the Mountain Zebra National Park itself is doing, I am joined by VUYANI Dial from the park. Thank you for joining us at eNCA. I can imagine the COVID-19 pandemic hasn't spared you the brunt of the difficulty here.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Yes, the COVID-19, as they say, is unprecedented. It has really affected Mountain Zebra immensely. Our accommodation occupancy has dropped. The arrivals has dropped. It also made us now to change the way we do things. Mountain Zebra National Park is offering discounts because of the COVID-19. Also, the Sandparks Weeks is coming now in November. It has always been happening in September, but COVID-19 is there, so it has moved now to November.
I can also imagine the type of tourists that you now cater for must have changed from the international tourists to now catering for local tourists. You mentioned discounts, but how are you receiving the local tourists? Any incentives to draw them in as they struggle themselves?
Yes, I think what we need to do, we need to strengthen our partnership with our stakeholders. We need to come with innovative ideas on how we can actually stimulate the demand from the local communities. Because now we don't have international tourists coming through our shores, but now it means we must focus now on domestic tourism.
And then just on the job side, how is it fared? I'm hoping none have been slashed.
No, South African national parks, I would say they introduced what is called cost curtailment. They did that so that we can remain financially stable, and then no one has lost their jobs in Sandparks. We are all been working. I really commend South African national parks in the midst of the pandemic during these difficult times, but we managed to keep our jobs.
Okay, thank you very much, VUYANI Dial. Hoping that you'd continue keeping those jobs, as of course the COVID-19 pandemic is still going to be around for some time, Sally. Now, the tourism sector has had to adjust. We've heard some of those adjustments that they're doing here, catering for largely now the domestic tourists who themselves have been battered by the pandemic. Conversations that I've been having throughout the day from your MEC of tourism itself to the actual CEO of tourism parks and CEOs, just telling me the difficulties that they've been having and some of the changes that they've now had to make.
Yeah, absolutely difficult times indeed. But of course, as more and more people get vaccinated, they will feel a little more confident to travel, still, of course, observing all those safety rules. So I'm joined now by Khayelihle Khumalo, who is in Mpumalanga. And Kaya, you know, Mpumalanga, another beautiful province. It's home to the Kruger National Park and some absolutely phenomenal game parks. We think of Bladder River Canyon, Berkslak Potholes, the Mac Falls, an exquisite part of our beautiful land as well. Tell me what you've been discovering today.
Well, that's right, Sally. Quite a very magnificent province. So we've had an opportunity really of interacting with so many hotel owners, and really they were painting a very bleak picture about the state of affairs in light of COVID-19 and a very devastating impact thereof. But also now they are finding ways to readjust to the new normal, a very unprecedented chapter. For example, we went to this hotel where the owner was saying that as much as they are focusing in terms of targeting more people to come through and sleep over, but now they use other facilities, making sure that people are able to come through, for example, and enjoy some fantastic cuisine. And you know that this province is very special, Sally. It's not far from the Kingdom of Eswatini on the other side, but also Mozambique as well is not far from here. So it's located in a very ideal location. In fact, we call it a land of the rising sun, but also So we had an opportunity, Sally, to speak to the tourism authority in this province. So the very key issue that they are doing, for example, next week, they have a number of campaigns like a Mahala Week, where they'll be enticing people to go through and see the parks without paying a penny. So it's part and parcel of making sure that they try to lure, especially the domestic market, given the number of restrictions that we still see.
And are there positive signs that people are starting to trickle back to these areas, Kaya, particularly as vaccinations increase and people feel a little bit more confident to venture out?
So most of the hotels here are very optimistic about what lies ahead, and a very central message that they emphasized was that people should really try and get a jab, because then it's going to be easy for them to move around. And in fact, somewhere by Sabi Sand, we spoke to the CEO there, of course, the CEO there, and the points that he kept on saying, for example, was that their employees as well will be getting the jab. They're working hand in hand with DISCAM and other facilities to try and make sure that there is protection within the staff, the anti-poaching team as well, but also in the main to make sure that they do offer the world-class services that they do have. I mean, this is quite a very diverse province, from the wildlife to all kinds of things. And we spoke to the boutique spas as well. You know, they were really quite concerned about the situation. They've lost revenue, the income is gone, and they're trying so hard to revive this battered sector.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, all strength to them, and let's hope that as our vaccinations increase, these beautiful parts of our country will see an inflow of tourists, both domestically and hopefully internationally, if those international travel rules are relaxed. Of course, it's very easy to come into South Africa as an international traveller, but if you go back to a country such as the UK and other countries, you have to then quarantine for 10 days, which is putting so many people off. Thank you very much, Khayelihle Khumalo in Mpumalanga. Also to Aviwe Mtila, who's coming to us live from Craddock in the Eastern Cape.